Spider-Man Far From Home came out in 2019 and is directed by John Watts and stars Tom Holland and Jake Gyllenhaal, and I'm very excited to give you guys my review for this movie. Be sure to check out my playlist with my previous Spider-Man movie reviews. As well, be sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel. Now let's get into this review. After the events of Avengers Endgame, Spider-Man must step up to take on new threats in a world that has changed forever. So if you guys saw my review for Spider-Man Homecoming, you know that I sort of thought that that movie felt like a good MCU movie, but was kind of lacking as a Spider-Man movie, and I kind of feel the same way about Far From Home. I think as an MCU movie, it's pretty good, a lot of fun, but as a Spider-Man movie, again, I think they kind of missed the ball of what at least I like in a Spider-Man movie. Spider-Man Homecoming for me, I thought was a little bit too small scale for Spider-Man. This one, I think they went too big, and it just felt off for a Spider-Man movie. And there's a lot of things in this that I just couldn't buy into. I think even as an MCU movie, I just couldn't buy into, and I'll get into those in a bit, but I want to start with my positives. And again, for me, my positives are a lot of the performances. Tom Holland, I think, once again, is very good as Peter Parker and Spider-Man for how they have him in the MCU. I think he does a really good job. He's really fun to watch. I enjoyed that. Jake Gyllenhaal as Mysterio, I thought was very good as well. I always like watching Jake Gyllenhaal. He was great in this. I like some of his moments with Peter Parker where he was just sort of like just acting like a cool guy and stuff. I enjoyed that. You also get Samuel L. Jackson in this. He was a lot of fun in this too. There's some funny moments with him. Happy Hogan, played by Jon Favreau, is in this again. He is very good. I think all the performances were good. You got Ned back as Peter Parker's friend. He was good. I enjoyed all of that. I enjoyed Zendaya's MJ, although I will say at the start of this movie, when Peter has feelings for her, it seems to come out of nowhere, because they don't really hint at it, for him at least, in Homecoming, so it just feels totally random, but it plays out fine. There's some fun action in this as well. They got these elemental creatures, and there's some fun action scenes with them. So that was good. So I think just as a superhero movie with fun action, good performances, it's fun like that. There is some charm to it as well, similar to the type of charm in Homecoming. But just as a Spider-Man movie, I think it just doesn't feel like a Spider-Man movie. It feels like an MCU movie. It doesn't feel like a Spider-Man movie. These elemental creatures, like there's fun action there, but it's just, I don't know, it just didn't feel like a Spider-Man thing. And Mysterio, while I like Jake Gyllenhaal as Mysterio, I wasn't thrilled that he was more of an Iron Man villain than a Spider-Man villain in this, similarly to the Vulture, where he sort of became this villain because of something Tony Stark did to him. Wasn't a fan of that, and also just didn't sit right with me that they did something to make Tony Stark look even worse after he's died. And he was always a character with issues, but you know, he had his moment in Endgame, and now they had this. It just didn't sit right with me, but that was fine. There are cool illusions with this drone technology that they have in this movie. There's cool visuals for sure, but this is one of my big problems with this movie, is I just could not buy into these drones doing all these things. I just could not buy into it, so that really affects me when it's a big part of the movie, having these drones creating the elemental creatures, and they're just parts from like, what? Like there's one scene when you see the second one, the first one that Spider-Man fights, he gets splashed with water because it's a water elemental. It's like, well, if this whole thing is created by drones, how do you get splashed with water unless the drones like kicked water up or something? I don't know, but it's weird. I guess I just could not buy into these drones doing all this. It was just too much. I just couldn't buy into that. And then another issue I have, and I know a lot of people have an issue with this too, is Tony Stark gives Peter Parker this Edith technology, which is super advanced technology, and he gives it to him because he thinks he's gonna be like the next Iron Man. And it's like, really? Tony Stark gives it to like a 15-year-old? Doesn't make much sense. He doesn't do really smart things with it either. And it's like, yeah, he's a kid, he's not going to do smart things with it. And then even later on, Peter Parker has this idea, it's like, oh, maybe he gave it to me because I was meant to choose the next Iron Man. I'm like, what? That doesn't make much sense either. So there are just big logic things like that. It just bothered me. And even one small thing, I've not heard anyone else bring this up, but it always bothers me. After sort of in the midway point of this movie, when there's a fight with an elemental, the drone elemental, and Mysterio with Spider-Man. Mysterio and Spider-Man go to a bar to have a drink. It's like, fine, Spider-Man's in a different costume, so people wouldn't really think it's Spider-Man, even though a lot of them do think it's Spider-Man. And they sit at this bar unmasked after fighting this elemental, and it turns out to be a fake bar. But even before that, when Peter Parker doesn't know, it's like, really, you're trying to keep your identity secret and you're both sitting in this bar in costume with no masks on. It just, whenever I watch that scene, I was like, what? It just didn't make sense. There's a lot of things in this movie I'm just like, really? And it holds this movie down. Again, just as a superhero movie, if you just want to watch fun action, have some that MCU humor, it can be fun for sure. But as a Spider-Man movie, again, it was missing that Spider-Man heart that I mentioned in Homecoming. It was sort of missing that Spider-Man heart that was in the other Spider-Man movies. I just wasn't feeling it in this one. And they tried to do some stuff with Peter Parker struggling to balance Spider-Man and Peter Parker, with Nick Fury needing him to be Spider-Man to help fight these elementals, but he's not wanting to do that. He wants to be on his vacation with his friends and whatnot. But it's like, yeah, okay, they're trying to do a bit of it, sort of like Spider-Man 2 with Peter Parker balancing the two, but it's not done nearly as well. You don't see as much of that struggle for him. You get a bit of it, but not a lot. So it's still lacking what makes a Spider-Man movie feel like a Spider-Man movie to me, if that makes sense. And I know it sounds like I'm just like maybe trashing on this movie. I'm trying not to. Like, I have a lot of issues with it, but it's still an okay movie for me because it's an entertaining one, just as a superhero action movie. But yeah, there are just things that just don't make sense. Some small things, even when Peter Parker's like, why don't you get all these people to fight instead of me? And he mentions Doctor Strange, and Nick Fury's like, oh, he's busy or something, unavailable. It's like, really? You got an Earth-threatening event and Doctor Strange's busy? Can't help with that? And it's like, I think he'd be trying to get everybody if this could destroy the Earth. So I don't know, just even small things like that. It's like they sort of thought the audience would be like, yeah, why weren't these Avengers here for something like this? And they had to quickly write off why they weren't, and it still doesn't make much sense. So that's just me. But the action, even though a lot of stuff going on with the elementals I just couldn't buy into, the action with them was fun. There's some cool stuff with the drones in the final battle. That was fun. There is some fun humor here, especially with Nick Fury. I like some of the jokes with him. That was good. I enjoyed Jake Gyllenhaal as Mysterio. Tom Holland as Spider-Man, I thought he gave a good performance. I thought pretty much all the performances were really good. There's entertainment to be had for sure. I think as an MCU movie, it's pretty good. As a Spider-Man movie, it's just okay. There's just things I just couldn't buy into, but if I just would turn my mind off and just wanted to watch a superhero movie with fun action, it's entertaining enough. So for me, I would give Spider-Man Far From Home a 60%. So guys, those are my thoughts on this movie. Be sure to leave a comment what you thought about it. I know a lot of people love this movie, so let me know if you loved it and why you loved it. If you're like me, let me know what you thought. And as always, be sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel, and be sure to stay tuned for some more reviews coming soon. And until my next video, take care everybody.